Welcome to another edition of Life Outdoors. I am your host, Chris Reckling. Today, if you are a fisherman, you are in luck. There are so many different ways that you can fish here in Hampton Roads and so many different bodies of water that you can fish in. Let's just see. You can fish from the shore. You can fish from a dock. You can fish from a pier. You can fish from a headboat. You can go on a charter boat. You can fish in a canoe. You can fish just about anywhere off in a lake, in a river, in a pond, you name it, you can do it. And you can also fish in a jet ski. And today we have Brian Lockwood, also known as Jet Ski Brian. Brian, welcome to Life Outdoors. It's great to have you here, man. I'm excited to talk to you about this topic.
Thanks, Chris. My pleasure to be here, and glad to come and talk to you about jet ski fishing and photography around the Chesapeake Bay and stuff. But glad to be here.
Yeah, I've always thought, when I see, what you do, I like say to myself, God, I wish I could be more like Brian. Because I'm so jealous, man. You not only do you catch amazing fish, it seems like you're having a blast out there on your jet ski, seeing some amazing stuff. How long, just tell us a little about yourself, personally.
Sure. Yeah, I'm from, I live in Pocosin, Virginia. I'm from Virginia. I've moved away and come back several times over the years, but overall, I've been in Pocosin majority of my adult life. I have been fishing I'm 60. I've been fishing for about 40 years, and I've had 7 boats over the years. I lived on a boat for about 5 years a long time ago when I was younger, and gradually I got into jet ski fishing, originally just to drop the jet ski in and go catch bait for tomorrow's boating trip. So I'd drop my jet ski in the water and go look for croaker and spot and catch them for bait. So originally that's how I started using my jet ski for that. And as time went on, I went a little further each time and said, well, shoot, instead of dropping the boat in, maybe I can just drop the jet ski and go fishing York Spit Light, maybe 5 or 6 miles away. And then I started venturing further away on the jet ski to the Bay Bridge. And I'd put a rod under one foot and a net under the other, and I'd lose the rod and break the net. So eventually I said, well, I just need to rig a jet ski specifically for fishing. And that's been about 25 years ago. And now over the last 25 years, I've probably had a dozen jet skis, and all rigged in different ways.
Jet ski fishing, like lots of different forms of fishing, has evolved throughout the years. And first and foremost, you had to have the jet ski. And then the next thing, what do we do with it and how do we use it? Like right now, kayak fishing is bigger than ever, and that had an evolution. Canoes or whatever it is. But the jet ski, you've sort of, you got started before a lot of people, and you went through the trials and tribulations. Have you learned that this sort of has an infancy, and you kind of came up through that?
Yeah, and like I said, I was already fishing adept, but not so much on a jet ski. It was definitely a learning experience for me, and the one you have pictured right there was my very first one that a local guy in Gloucester, Martin's Custom Structures, did that for me 25 years ago, and it still looks just as good. The other one you see currently is my most recent jet ski from Sea-Doo that I've modified to make it more fishing. But yeah, over time, I learned the basics that you need some rod holders, you need a cooler, you need a depth finder. And if you have those, it's pretty much very similar to a boat, similar to a kayak. I'm kind of taking the best of both worlds, where I can take a jet ski in blue water, or I can take it in shallow water. So there's a lot of advantages of the jet ski to me. No different than, I don't need a big truck, I don't need a big garage. It'll fit in my garage, it's easy to clean up. But yeah, it was a gradual evolution for me over time. My very first jet ski was very basic. It only had forward. As time has gone on, they have forward, neutral, reverse, they have cruise control, they have fly-by-wire. And so instead of having to use mechanical reverses and forward, it's all easily done from your hands on the like a steering wheel of the PWC. So originally there were no fishing jet skis, but about 5 years ago, Yamaha, Sea-Doo, Kawasaki started seeing that a lot more people were interested in it, and I'd say Sea-Doo has been the leader of that recently, making fishing PWCs. They have a model called a Fish Pro and a Scout, and then this model you see is an Explorer that I've modified to make it a fishing PWC.
What is the main advantages of having a jet ski? Do you get to the fishing ground quicker? Obviously, there's a lot of advantages over a boat. What do you find it to be?
To me, the advantage is you're closer to the water, similar to a kayak. So when people say to me, how do you manage a big fish, getting that on your jet ski, I'm a lot closer to the water.
Drag it in.
So I can just pull it right onto the PWC where the footwell is, where your feet go. I can put up to about an 80, 100-pound fish on either side of my feet. Yeah, so it's easy to deal with a big fish. And it's, on a nice day, I can do 60 miles an hour on that jet ski, 50 miles an hour on my other jet ski. Most of the time, if I'm doing 30 or 35 in the bay or the ocean, I'm happy. So yeah, on a good day, you can make really good time. It's economical compared to a mid-sized boat. It gets about 6 miles to the gallon versus, say, a 25-foot boat might get 1 mile to the gallon. So if you're going to go out there and try and have fun or go fishing, it's good for myself, maybe one other person. But if you're going to take the family out, it's not a thing for the family, but it's great for 1 or 2 people to fish off of.
You go out on a regular basis. How often do you go out?
Probably on average, whether I had boats or jet skis, I fish about 100 to 120 times a year, which sounds like a lot, but it's twice a week. I retired about 8 years ago, so that's enabled me to have more time to go fishing and take pictures. So I fish 2 to 3 times a week, just depending on the weather.
Weather dependent.
Very weather dependent. At this point, I don't go out there and get my butt beat up. I'm more selective because I am retired. But at the same time, I can go out in some gnarly weather because the jet ski takes it better than a boat does. I've been out in 8, 9-foot seas sometimes. It's not pleasant, but it's doable. If you've ever seen some of those surfing shows where they're dragging somebody out into some 50-foot wave, it's a PWC that's taking them out there and that's retrieving them when they have an accident.
Right.
So they can really handle big water, but you're driving it differently than you do a boat. So it's a very capable way of getting on the water.
And as you can see here, you're catching a lot of really good fish, man. Your cobia seems to be your fish of choice, but then again, you like your sheep's head. You like a little bit of everything.
Yes. Yeah, the cobia is one of my favorite things to fish for here in the Chesapeake Bay, but I've been fortunate. I have been offshore Virginia, North Carolina. I lived in the Bahamas for about 5 years, so I did a lot of offshore fishing there.
Yeah.
Offshore was only 7 miles to get in blue water. So it was a little bit different. So I've caught my fair share of mahi and tuna and wahoo and stuff like that offshore. But here in the Chesapeake Bay and around the coast of Virginia, cobia is one of my favorite things to catch.
Okay. Well, this is a good place to take a little bit of break. A couple minutes ago, Brian mentioned taking pictures and all those pictures. And he has not only take some great pictures of jet ski fishing, but he sees some amazing things out on the water. We're going to get deep into that in just a minute, so stick around. You're watching Life Outdoors. Welcome back to Life Outdoors. I'm your host, Chris Reckling. We are joined today by Jet Ski Brian, or Brian Lockwood is his original name. Brian, in the first segment, talked about everything fishing from a jet ski. We're going to show you some amazing pictures in just a bit, but we need to take that a little bit one step further. Okay. You've seen some amazing things. You've been out in some rough water. You've been out in perfect water. You see sunrises, sunsets, a little bit of everything. Do you ever worry a little bit out there? You get caught in some really tough weather because lightning storm, electrical storms. Do you try to race them in? Do you race around them? There's been some close calls, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, it's like the law of odds. The more you go out, the more chances you're going to have inclement weather or get caught in something, especially in the summertime. The wintertime, the weather's more consistent. You kind of know what you're getting into. The summer, if you're offshore, you don't know if there's going to be a pop-up thunderstorm or a front coming through. And most of the time, if you're out there, the storms are coming from land, and you at some point have to go through it. But yeah, I've had a couple really gnarly trips, not planned trips. That I'd say one of my worst trips was coming back from Freeport, Bahamas. That it was supposed to be a 4-hour trip. It took us 7 hours to get back from Freeport to Florida in torrential pouring rain. Wow. So I've had those white-knuckle trips, but I don't try and go out in those types of conditions, but it happens over time. It's
unavoidable. Just like engine trouble, too.
Yeah.
You broken down out there?
Oh, yeah. Same thing. The more you use it, the more chances it's going to break. And I've been towed back my fair share, and I've towed my fair share of friends as well. And everything breaks eventually, just a matter of when. And Sea Tows towed me back just a week ago.
Oh, gosh. Well, it's always, we'll talk a little bit later about, the important things to remember when you're out on the water, whether it's in a jet ski, boat, or canoe, or whatever it is. Safety first.
Yes.
But you're not alone. How big is the community right now for jet ski fishing? Because it seems like it's growing.
There's several other maniacs. It's not just me. There's a couple local guys in Pocosin.
Yeah.
Terry is a friend of mine that just started doing it recently. There's a Fawn who lives in Portsmouth. There's several Virginia Beach guys. Jim is another guy. But now it's every time I go out, I see other PWC anglers, not just me. And a lot of them are either boaters or kayakers that evolved into the jet ski fishing. And like I said, Sea-Doo having came out with some new models, that pushed a lot of people that they could just buy one and start fishing from it. It already had rod holders and a depth finder and a GPS on it. And most of the guys that I deal with, they're all very safety conscious. You mentioned safety, and I take the same safety precautions I did when I'm on a boat. I carry flares, I carry a EPIRB, a personal locator beacon, a spot GPS tracker, a VHF radio, all the same safety things that you would put on a boat. All these guys put on their PWC as well.
Because you never know.
Better safe than sorry.
Have you ever been pulled over by the Marine Police?
Yes, many times over the years, mostly initially when I first started going further offshore. The first time I went out of Hatteras many years ago.
They're going to check.
Some of the local charter guys called the Coast Guard on us thinking we were some two stupid people 40 miles offshore at Hatteras. And we caught a bunch of mahi, but they boarded us maybe 20 miles offshore just to make sure everything was okay. And we checked out, and they let us keep on going.
They let us keep on going. Okay, so in the last segment, we talked about the fact that not only is Brian a great fisherman on a jet ski, but he's also an avid photographer. When did you get into that, and how seriously do you take that, Brian?
That's just as much my hobby as it is fishing. I always have a couple cameras with me on the jet ski, but it was a gradual evolution, just like the jet ski fishing. I'd always take pictures when I was boating of whatever I caught and what interested me, but as time went on, I got more and more into the photography, so I get easily distracted. If I'm out there fishing and I see like what you see right there, a humpback whale off of Virginia Beach, that was one of my favorite pictures I took maybe 10 years ago.
One of my favorites, too.
Yeah, it was right off of Rudy Inlet. I was on the way back in from striped bass fishing, and the other one you see here was right off of Fort Story. So it's easy to get distracted when you're out fishing and you see things like humpback whales and dolphins and seals in the wintertime. A lot of people aren't familiar that seals are even here in Virginia, so I'm surprised every year more and more people, I say, look, there's seals in the winter, there's humpback whales in the winter, there's pelicans, there's all the wildlife that you see here. I'm easily distracted while I'm out fishing. I'll stop and follow a whale and watch the dolphins and the pelicans and take pictures of people or whatever I happen to see and the beautiful sunrises here in Virginia. So it's definitely something I've gradually got into. I've bought more and better cameras over the years, and that helps me get a better picture. But I'm always fascinated by the wildlife and easily distracted from fishing. So over the years, I've been fortunate. I've been, I think, in 60 or 65 different publications of mostly wildlife or jet ski fishing related, and I try and, as time goes on, get better at taking pictures.
Well, what it does is it ensures that you're coming back with something.
Yes.
You're going out. The mission is to go out and catch fish, but you're going to catch an image. It's going to be a reminder of that time that you went out, and your pictures. Just it shows to me that you're a nature lover and you love nature, and that's one of the reasons why you get out, because you're always going to see something. You knew on this day that it was. Look, it's a bluebird day. It's nice and calm. Sunrise is coming. Get out early. You're going to see something great. And like things come and go. Like the humpback whales in the wintertime.
Oh, yeah, it's
like
phenomenal.
Like growing up around here, did we even know they were there? I mean,
you
come on.
hear of them occasionally,
Right.
but people didn't really focus on it. And now there's out of Virginia Beach tours every day in the wintertime, taking people out to check out the humpback whales.
That's such a great shot, Brian.
Thanks. That's one of my favorite, hanging in my living room.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. So as you can see, Brian, your work is great, your fishing is good. You really know a lot about jet ski, but also your moments out there and capturing nature at its finest. It says a lot for our natural beauty and resources that we have here in Hampton Roads. You love the bay, and it shows in everything that you do.
Well, thank you. I like being out there, and morning is the best time of day for the sunrises and the color in the sky, and typically the calmest time of day too. So I start early. I mean, I wake up early anyway, but I wake up at 4 and I'm on the water at 5 or 5:30 very often, and
How long are you normally out? What is it? What is a 6 hour, an 8 hour? What is it for you?
Probably a typical day is 6 hours if I'm in the
hours,
bay
yeah.
or the Bay Bridge, but if I'm offshore, it might be 8 or 9 hours. And usually I'm out there right before sunrise and back by middle of the day, especially in the summertime before the thunderstorms and stuff develop.
Yeah. Weather dependent. Everything's weather dependent, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so as you can see, we're seeing some great images here from Brian Lockwood, Jet Ski Brian. We're going to take a short break now, come back and talk more things about jet skiing and how you might be able to get involved, and some things to consider if you want to get into the sport. So stick around, everyone. You're watching Life Outdoors. Welcome back to Life Outdoors. I'm your host, Chris Reckling. We're joined today by Brian Lockwood, or Jet Ski Brian. He's shared his passion for fishing on the back of a jet ski and also photography. And now we're going to dive a little bit deeper into it. If somebody wanted Brian to get into this sport, first of all, get a reliable ski.
Yes.
Get a reliable ski. Know that ski inside out. Take it from there.
Yes, and always have towing insurance because everything breaks eventually, and as I've had my fair share of tows. But yeah, now you can go to any local dealer that sells PWCs and buy a fishing-ready PWC. You can make your own slight modifications to it. For instance, one of my PWCs, the one I have now, I've added a trolling motor to that as well, and that's been a big help. You'll notice if you're into boating, almost every boat now has a trolling motor, and most people don't use it as a trolling motor, they use it as an anchor. You can pull to an offshore wreck or around the Bay Bridge instead of anchoring, which was always a pain on a boat or a jet ski, whether it's putting your anchor in or getting your anchor back. Now
Losing your anchor.
Losing your anchor. Now I can pull up to any wreck offshore and hit a button, and the trolling motor will do whatever it takes to keep me on that spot. And that has really made a big difference for me fishing. And several other friends here locally have also added trolling motors to their jet skis, and the side scans, and there's so many different types of sonar you can add to the jet ski. Live scope is the most popular thing nowadays, where you can essentially pull up to a piling and look and see what is there, live action.
That's cheating.
It's cheating, but it works, and maybe someday I'll go there. I haven't quite got to the live scope yet. But just like a boat, you can add things to it, radios and different GPSs and more rod holders or bigger coolers, but now you can buy Sea-Doos and Yamahas and Kawasaki's already rigged up for jet ski fishing, and so it makes it a lot easier.
Understand your craft inside out. Make sure you have enough fuel.
Yes.
Make sure your fuel is the fuel is good fuel, doesn't have water in it. And also safety is critical. The life vest, the location, the beacon, the flares, the intake tool, the VHF radio. All that stuff is critical because you just never know when you're going to need it.
Yeah, in the wintertime, I fish all winter.
You got a suit?
So I wear a Mustang survival suit, and I have a dry suit as well, kind of like the kayak fishermen. They go out all winter.
Yeah.
So if you dress for success, it can be comfortable and still be fun. So I don't want to write off 4 months out of the year. I'd rather dress for it and still get out there and striped bass fish, and that's my favorite time of year. In the wintertime, there's so much wildlife, the whales and gannets and things like that. Yeah. So dress appropriately for sure, because you don't want to get in the water in the wintertime, but if you're dressed for it, you're a lot better off.
Gosh, you just came out on that jet ski right when we had that wonderful 15 years of striper fishing in the bay, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was just...
I missed that. That's still
we all do, right?
a great couple of years of striped bass fishing, and the 40-pounders, the 50-pounders, even just to catch them and release them.
Right.
And that's really a lot different fishery nowadays. It's kind of hit or miss. I still do a couple striped bass tournaments, and I've actually won one tournament, the James River Striped Bass Tournament. I've won that twice against 40 other boats on a jet ski. So
there you go.
It's been a thrill for me to every now and then do that.
What other success stories have you had out there? Your biggest catch, or what sticks out in your mind when you think back of all your years and all the trips of fishing?
Well, I'd like to do a lot of wreck fishing, whether it's sheep's head or even striped bass. That's about a 45-pound striped bass I caught on the Eastern Shore several years ago. The sheep's head, my biggest sheep's head was 14 and a half pounds, and I caught that in about 5 feet of water. Offshore the Bahamas, I've caught a 50-pound mahi. I've caught sailfish. I've caught striped marlin on my PWC. So it's
All right, wait, stop right there. okay, you hook a nice big fish, whether it's cobia, mahi, whatever it is, and you're on your jet ski. What's it like fighting them on that little jet ski? Because they're going to pull you around if you don't have that the trolling motor in.
Yeah, I mean it can turn a big fish with a lot of drag. If you tighten down the drag, yeah, it'll turn the PWC. But the only downside is typically the fish come to me faster because there's not as much resistance of a boat. So I get a lot of green fish, whether it's a cobia or a mahi. And
that fish is angry.
That's the hardest thing, is getting them netted or gaffed when they're green. So usually they come to me faster than if I was on a boat. So it's but it's easier, like I said, for me to deal with that on the PWC. If I'm by myself, I don't have to haul something onto the boat. I can just reach it and pull it onto the PWC. But yeah, it's a thrill for sure, being really close to the water and having something splash next to you, like a big cobia, who's sometimes they can be real aggressive. The biggest cobia I've ever caught was 87 pounds on a PWC, and I don't know if I'll ever do that again, but it was one of my favorite catches, was catching a huge cobia.
And you really should be an accomplished fisherman if you're out on a PWC and it's bouncy and you're fishing over rocks. You're trying to catch tautog and you're losing gear or whatever it is, because you really know you know it's not as stable. It's a little bouncy. I mean, you really need to know what you're doing. Tying knots on a bouncy seas is a little different.
Well, that's kind of why the one that you've been picturing the most is the largest PWC that Yamaha had made at the time, the one that's pictured right here as well. And it's 14 foot long and it's 5 feet wide, and it's virtually almost impossible to turn that PWC over. And that was why I chose that one originally over time to rig it for fishing. Even the one I'm using currently that you see pictured, that's still a very stable craft if it's just one person. If you get 2 people or 3 people, that's when it becomes unstable if people all lean the same direction. But I've never really felt threatened with just me by myself on a PWC. Now, if you're a bigger guy, you know, you're 250, 300, it might be a different story. But for me, that's a very stable platform, as long as you're doing things right and not doing something stupid.
Well, you know, things happen fast.
Yes.
And sometimes you take chances. Sometimes you put that ski where it shouldn't be, or whatever, or you're close to other people. It just happens. So safety is really critical when you're on the water.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know you talk to a lot of people. And what are some of the questions that you get that stand out the most that might help someone who's watching this?
I'd say they ask me what type of safety equipment do you bring, and what type of cold water gear do you wear. That's the biggest thing, and that's your biggest threat, is the wintertime and cold water. If you're falling in the summertime, you're going to get wet, but it's not going to bother you as much if you're falling in the wintertime. So I get a lot of cold weather questions when I'm out there in the wintertime. But if you dress for it and you're wearing the proper safety equipment, not just have it on your jet ski like this picture you see. I'm wearing a PLB. I don't just have it in the jet ski. I wear my safety lanyard, so if you do fall off, it cuts the jet ski off instantaneously. It's a lot of mostly safety related questions, and what's your range on a PWC, and
cut your teeth in the bay. Don't go straight out to the ocean.
Definitely. Start up in the James or up in the Elizabeth River or around the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel before you go to the Chesapeake Light or before you go to the wind turbines, and make sure everything's working right, whether it's a new one or a used one. Till you don't know till you use it a bunch what's going to break, and bring some basic things that might go wrong, like a backup battery or an extra fuse that might go bad. So I have a couple little extra parts and tools with me when I'm on there.
Don't get stuck in your intake. You need to be able to get it out.
Yeah, exactly.
It happens.
And actually, I'll mention that because this particular PWC, it has a mechanism that reverses the drive and flushes out the impeller mechanism. It's unique to that PWC.
Nice.
So if you get a bunch of grass, you can blow it out.
Or a net.
Or a net.
Well, listen, we're about out of time for this week's edition of Life Outdoors. Brian, thank you so much for sharing your experiences and your pictures and your fishing and your inspiration to so many different people out there, because you're definitely living the life outdoors, and I love it, man. Like I said, I'm jealous. I look at you and I say, I want to be Brian one day.
Well, thanks for having me. It's good to see you again.
All right. Once again, everybody, thank you so much for joining us here on Life Outdoors. We hope you enjoyed this edition. Don't forget to live your life outdoors.